From the eyes of Matthew. They say betrayal doesn't come from your enemies. It comes from the ones you trust with your whole heart. I never understood what that meant until I watched my best friend take the one person I couldn't imagine living without. But I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start at the beginning. I met Chris in the 7th grade. He was loud, wild, fearless, everything I wasn't. We met when he accidentally knocked over my lunch tray and offered me half his sandwich as an apology. From that moment, we were inseparable. Chris was the kind of guy everyone wanted to be around. Magnetic, charming, a walking party. Me. I was the quieter one. Observant, a little awkward. But with him, I felt seen. Pulled out of my shell. We grew up together. High school parties, broken bones from skateboarding stunts, late-night drives with the windows down and music blasting like we owned the world. He was more than a friend. He was family. And then came her. Elena. I met her at a campus open mic night during sophomore year of college. She was sitting alone, nursing a coffee and scribbling in a little leather notebook. She had this soft presence, like a melody only I could hear. When she smiled at me across the room, I swear time paused. I gathered all the courage I had and sat down beside her. "What are you writing?" I asked. She looked up, her eyes the color of late autumn. Warm, but guarded. "Poetry," she said. "Bad poetry." I laughed. "I doubt that." She smirked. "And you are?" "Matthew. But my friends call me Matt." "Elena," she said, shaking my hand. It wasn't fireworks or explosions. It was something quieter. Like recognition. Chris met her a few weeks later. I brought her to one of our usual hangouts, a small group of friends drinking beer around a bonfire, telling stories and pretending we weren't all terrified of adulthood. He was, Chris, flashing that smile, making everyone laugh. And Elena smiled back. I didn't think much of it at the time. We dated for 2 years. 2 beautiful, complicated, real years. She made me feel like I was finally enough. Like the quiet parts of me were worth listening to. We'd fall asleep with our fingers intertwined. Share playlists. Write notes on napkins and hide them in each other's books. She loved bookstores and thunderstorms. She hated olives and silence. She made me believe in forever. And Chris? He was always around. Helping us move into our first apartment. Crashing our movie nights. Dropping by just because. I didn't mind. Not at first. He was my best friend. He was family. And I trusted him. God, I trusted him. There were signs. Small ones. The way Elena would laugh at his jokes just a little too long. The way his eyes lingered on her when he thought I wasn't looking. But love makes you blind. Especially when you've known someone so long you can't imagine them hurting you. So I ignored it. Even when he started texting her more often than he texted me. Even when she started pulling away. Slowly, almost imperceptibly. The morning kisses turned into forehead pecks. The conversations shortened. The silences grew heavier. I told myself it was stress. School. Life. But somewhere deep down, a seed of doubt began to grow. One night, Chris and I were drinking at a bar near campus. He was drunk. I wasn't. He leaned back in his chair, staring at the ceiling like it held answers. "She's incredible, man," he said. I raised an eyebrow. "Who?" "Elena," he muttered. I laughed, trying to shake off the chill that ran down my spine. "She is," I said. "I got lucky." He looked at me then. Long hard. "Yeah, you did." I told myself he was just drunk. That he didn't mean anything by it. But I didn't sleep well that night. Then came the night everything cracked. It was late. I came home from work early. The apartment was dark, except for a sliver of light coming from the living room. Voices. Hushed. Too intimate. I crept closer, heart in my throat. Elena's voice. "He doesn't know. Chris. Are you sure about this? Elena, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. My hand gripped the doorframe. My breath caught. Chris again. I can't keep pretending. I stepped into the room. They jumped apart like teenagers caught sneaking out. Elena's eyes went wide. Matt. How long? I asked. No anger in my voice. Just numbness. A terrible, empty stillness. Chris opened his mouth. Closed it. Elena started crying. I didn't wait for an answer. I left. I walked for hours. Through streets I didn't recognize, past houses with warm lights and laughter pouring from their windows. And I wondered how everything that once felt solid had crumbled in an instant. I didn't sleep that night. Didn't eat the next day. I just sat in the park, watching leaves fall like pieces of my life drifting to the ground. The worst part wasn't the betrayal. It was the memory of every moment we'd shared. Knowing that while I was planning our future, they were tearing it apart behind my back. It made me question everything. Had Chris ever truly been my friend? Had Elena ever really loved me? Or was I just convenient? A placeholder until something better, someone more exciting, came along? I moved out the next week. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't leave a note. I packed what I could carry and left the rest behind. Photos. Letters. All of it. Ghosts I no longer had room for. Chris tried calling. Elena sent messages. I ignored them all. If they wanted each other so badly, they could have each other. But they'd have to live with what they did. It's been 3 weeks. The silence is deafening, but I'm learning to sit with it. There's a wound where they both used to be. But wounds heal. Scars form. And I know this isn't the end of my story. There's a silence that doesn't come from the absence of noise. It's heavier. Sharper. Like standing in a room where love used to live and hearing only the echoes of everything that went wrong. That's what those first weeks felt like. Like I was still living in the aftermath of an emotional earthquake. Everything had crumbled, but the dust hadn't settled yet. I rented a small one-bedroom across town. Nothing fancy. Just 4 blank walls, a mattress on the floor, and a mini fridge I forgot to stock most days. I didn't unpack. Didn't decorate. It didn't feel like home. But then again, what did? The first morning alone, I stared at my reflection and didn't recognize the man looking back. Dark circles. Unshaved face. Eyes that had lost something. I tried brushing my teeth, but halfway through, I dropped the brush and just leaned against the sink, gripping the porcelain like it might hold me together. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Just empty. Completely, terrifyingly empty. I avoided mutual friends. Deleted social media. Turned off my phone. Some days I stayed in bed for hours, staring at the ceiling. Other days, I walked for miles, trying to tire myself out enough to sleep. It didn't help. The memories haunted me anyway. Sometimes I'd see couples laughing on the street. A man brushing hair behind his girlfriend's ear. 2 hands intertwined under a table. And something inside me would twist. Not out of jealousy, but grief. That was supposed to be us. I tried to rationalize it. Maybe I wasn't exciting enough. Maybe I didn't see the signs soon enough. Maybe I didn't love her the right way. But deep down, I knew those were just lies I told myself to soften the blow. The truth. They chose to betray me. And nothing I could have done would have stopped it. One night, I came home to a letter taped to my door. Please, just talk to me. It wasn't signed. But the handwriting, I'd recognize it anywhere. Elena. I stood there for a long time, staring at the folded paper like it might explode. My fingers trembled as I opened it. She wrote that she never meant to hurt me, that it was never planned, that it just happened. She said Chris had always been around, that things got blurry, that she got confused. But the line that stuck with me most, you didn't do anything wrong. I just stopped feeling what I used to. It felt like a punch straight to the ribs. Not because of what she said, but because I believed her. Somewhere along the way, she did fall out of love. And while she owed me honesty, she chose deceit. I didn't reply, didn't write back, didn't scream, didn't cry. I just sat on the floor and stared at the letter until the ink blurred from my breath. The anger came days later. Slow at first. Like a storm building on the horizon. I'd see Chris's old texts, "You're my brother. I'd take a bullet for you." And I'd want to smash something. Because how do you go from brother to backstabber in a heartbeat? How do you look someone in the eyes while sleeping with the person they love? I started boxing. Not professionally, just at a local gym that didn't ask questions. I liked the sound of gloves hitting the bag. The way pain left my body through sweat instead of tears. The rhythm of it. Jab, cross, hook, breathe. It made me feel like I was rebuilding something inside myself. Then came the call I didn't expect. It was Ryan, a mutual friend. One of the few I hadn't cut off completely. "Hey," he said gently. "I know you probably don't want to hear this, but you need to know what's going on." I braced myself. He told me that Chris had been bragging. That he'd told people he saved Elena from a boring life. That Matt was too soft. Too serious. Apparently, it wasn't just a betrayal. It was a joke. A game. And I was the punchline. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling until dawn, anger pulsing like a heartbeat behind my eyes. I thought about every time I helped Chris get out of trouble. Every time I picked him up drunk, lent him money, covered for his mistakes. And now he was parading around like he'd won some kind of prize. Like I was just collateral damage. I knew then what I had to do. I wasn't going to lash out. I wasn't going to fight him or trash his car or scream in his face. I was going to become someone they couldn't ignore. Someone stronger, sharper, unshakable. I started reading more. Taking care of myself. Working overtime. Saving. I cleaned up my space, even though I hated it. Threw out the last photo I had of the three of us. And I started writing. Not for them. For me. Page after page. All the pain, all the questions, all the silence. And slowly, the rage turned into something else. Not peace. Not yet. But focus. One day, Ryan messaged again. "You might want to see this," he wrote. It was a screenshot of a social post. Chris and Elena. Engaged. Engaged. A ring. Smiles. Caption. "Everything happens for a reason." I stared at it for a long time. Not because I wanted her back. Not because I still cared about him. But because I realized something. They hadn't stolen anything. What we had wasn't real anymore. And maybe, just maybe, I was the one who got out lucky. Still, something inside me wouldn't settle. A part of me needed closure. Not from them, from myself. That's when the idea formed. Not revenge. Not violence. Just a mirror. Something to show them who they really were. And who I'd become. Not the broken boy they left behind. But the man they never saw coming. The thing about healing is, it doesn't come with a warning. There's no loud moment that tells you, "You're okay now." Sometimes, you only realize you've grown when you find yourself standing still in a place that used to hurt, and you feel nothing. But before I got there, I had to walk through fire. After the engagement post, I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I closed the app, made myself a cup of coffee, and stared out the window. And that's when it hit me. I had nothing left to lose. No reputation to defend. No illusions to protect. Only truth. And truth, when you've been through hell, becomes a weapon sharper than vengeance. Chris always feared one thing more than anything, being seen for who he really was. Behind the jokes, the big personality, the constant need for attention, was a boy terrified of being ordinary. And Elena? She hated being alone. Needed validation. Constant reassurance that she was wanted, needed, irreplaceable. Together, They fed off each other's weaknesses like fire feeding on dry wood. And I knew exactly how to expose it, without saying a word. Ryan and I had stayed in quiet contact. He wasn't just a mutual friend anymore. He'd become a mirror I could trust. So when he offered me a chance to speak at a local storytelling event, one that would be live-streamed, public, and attended by a lot of familiar faces, I said yes. Not because I needed to humiliate anyone, but because I needed to speak my truth. To take back my voice. The night of the event, I stood backstage, holding my note cards like they were shields. My hands were cold, my mouth dry, but my heart calm. When I stepped into the light, there were maybe 100 people in the room. Maybe more online. It didn't matter. I began. I used to believe betrayal was something loud, something obvious. But the truth is, it's quiet. It's made of whispered lies and half-hearted apologies. It's the silence between people who used to know each other. I didn't use their names. Didn't need to. But as I spoke about losing someone I loved to someone I trusted, about the hollow that betrayal leaves behind, I saw faces shift. Some leaned forward. Some teared up. And somewhere in the crowd, I knew people recognized the story for what it was. After the applause, I left through the side exit. I didn't stay to mingle. Didn't need validation. But as I was walking through the parking lot, I heard footsteps behind me. Matt. I turned. Elena. She looked smaller. Not physically, but dimmed. Like someone who'd been walking around trying to look okay but was slowly unraveling. "Can we talk?" she asked. I paused. Nodded. We stood near my car. The air between us felt old. Stale. "I saw the video," she said. "Ryan sent it to me." I raised an eyebrow. "Did he?" She nodded. "You didn't use our names, but it was us." I didn't speak. She looked down, fiddling with her sleeve. I thought I'd feel justified, happy. I thought being with him would prove something, that I didn't make a mistake. "And?" I asked. She looked up, eyes glassy. "I miss you." The words should have cracked me open. But they didn't. Because I didn't miss her. Not anymore. I missed the version of her that never really existed. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "For everything." I nodded. "I know." Her lips quivered. "Do you hate me?" I looked at her. Not the girl I once adored. Not the one who laughed with me in bookstores or cried with me over poetry. But the woman who chose someone else. "I don't hate you, Elena," I said. "I just don't know you anymore." And with that, I got in my car. Drove away. Later that week, Chris messaged me. First time in months. I saw the video. Clever. No apology. No ownership. Just ego. I stared at the screen. Typed. Deleted. Typed again. Truth doesn't need to be clever. It just needs to be heard. I hit send. Then blocked him. That was the last time I ever saw his name light up my screen. Months passed. The ache faded. I got a better job. Started hiking. Met new people. Laughed again. Not the forced kind. Not the hollow mask. Real laughter. The kind that comes when you're no longer bleeding. One spring afternoon, I found myself sitting on a bench overlooking the city skyline. Next to me, a woman I'd met at the gym, Lena. Same name, almost. Different soul. She didn't ask me to fill silence. She just shared it. I told her everything one night. No filters. She didn't flinch. Just took my hand. "I'm glad you didn't let it break you," she whispered. And for the first time, I believed her. There's a freedom in surviving heartbreak. Not just surviving, growing through it. Learning to walk again without limping. You stop chasing closure from the people who hurt you. Because eventually, you realize, you were never the broken one. You were just someone who loved honestly in a world that rewards masks. Now, when people ask me if I regret it all, loving her, trusting him, I smile. Because no. I don't regret loving. I only regret not loving myself sooner. Blackheart, the end.